Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of What's Hot with Sea of Tranquility, the show where we take a look at a lot of the new releases and a lot of the genres we cover. So, of course, all forms of heavy metal, progressive rock, jazz, fusion, classic rock, hard rock. We kind of do a lot of different things on here, right? Take a look at a lot of the new releases. What's new? What's notable? What should you be maybe spending your hard-earned cash on? And in this kind of crazy time where a lot of us have nothing else but time, why not check out some new music, right? And I'm hopefully going to try and recommend some really good stuff to you, including this new one. A great surprise, probably the comeback of the year in 2020. The brand new release from Psychotic Waltz, The God-Shaped Void. Very cool album cover there, too. Kind of captures the spirit of a lot of their earlier albums. So this is the first release from them since 1996's Bleeding. Yeah, you heard that right. Long time ago, right? And it's only their fifth album overall. I mean, these guys have been around. I think they formed in, the early 90s. But a long period of inactivity, right? But the band is back together. Okay, we got the classic lineup of the band. We've got the vocalist Devin Graves, also called himself Buddy Lackey at times, right, on vocals and occasional flute and keyboards. You've got guitarist Dan Rock and Brian McAlpin, bassist Ward Evans, and drummer Norman Leggio. Okay, all those guys were from the classic lineup of the band that released those, four early classics that most people, think of as a lot of the sleeper releases of the progressive metal genre in the early mid-90s. Of course, overshadowed by bands like Dream Theater, all right, who were getting all the attention. But, a lot of people were listening to Psychotic Waltz around that time. I think their music was a little different because they didn't attack you with, this nonstop virtuosity. And their songs weren't really catchy for the most part, like a lot of hooks and things like that, but just really atmospheric, dark, heavy, a lot of space, a lot of proggy moments, some gothic tendencies from time to time, a little bit of doom from time to time, but just very different and just not like Dream Theater at all. So while a lot of bands kind of took that kind of stance, all right, and that formula and ran with it, you had bands like Psychotic Waltz, which were doing something really different. And when they finally started to get a lot of people noticing them, bloop, they were gone. Right, so back to this album. It's a kick-ass collection of songs, and I think it's one of those albums that gets better and better with each listener. You've got, right off the bat, you've got Devils and Angels and Stranded, which again are heavy. They're atmospheric. They're really moody. This album is very moody. It's not a very kind of uplifting album at all. But if you like that sort of thing, you're gonna love this. Okay, crunchy guitars. The production is stellar. You got Devin's really kind of it's Tala whining. Tala wants to go get out of the room. Like, Daddy, let me out of here. Go ahead, there you go. Because, of course, if I don't let her out, she's just going to continue to harass us. So back to the vocals. So, yeah, Devin's vocals are very unique. At times, he does the higher register thing every so often, but for the most part, he does this kind of mid-range it's kind of gruff at times, but it reminds me of a little bit of like in the early days, Jeff Tate from Queensryche, his more kind of lower register kind of snarl. That's kind of like what Devin's got going on here. The guitars are just kick-ass. Back to Black, another great song. All the Bad Men, crushing, all right? But again, it's got that space in it, all right? Got The Fallen, all right? While the Spiders Spin, which is a killer song, all right? Pull the String, Demystified, Seasons of the Swarm, Sisters of the Dawn, and In the Silence. And I think a lot of the lyrical content, I don't normally get into lyrics, but a lot of the lyrical content in this album are very relevant to kind of what's going on in the world, politically, socially, all that sort of thing. And if you listen, you're going to catch passages, you're going to be like, yeah, I know where he's coming with that, right, sort of thing. But I just think it's a hard-hitting album. Like I said, the songs grab you on repeated listens. It's not one of those albums that you're going to put on where you're going to get all these kind of hooks and catchy melodies. It's not all about that. But there are things about the album that start to just kind of weave into your brain with each successive listen. And you're like, that song is really connecting with me, so to speak, right? And it's heavy. It's a heavy album, all right? And I'm not much of a gothic metal or gothic music fan, but there are little gothic touches that are happening here and there, which I really dig. Like I said, it adds more kind of like this moody menace and atmosphere more than anything else, but I think it really works. And, some fantastic guitar solos. And like I said, there are some complex passages and things like that. Nice use of keyboards. There's a couple cool flute solos, which are really nice for all you Jethro Tull fans out there. But for the most part, I think it's just a complete grower and an album that I'm liking more and more and more with every successive listen. So check it out. The God-Shaped Void, comeback of the year from Psychotic Waltz. Welcome back, guys. Man, you knocked it out of the park on this. Of course, this is a SONY Music InsideOut Records release. Okay. Make sure you don't miss it. Go on the website at www.seaoftranquility.org and read our entire review of the album. Okay, you can also visit us on Facebook and Twitter, but of course we're here on YouTube all the damn time. So you may be asking, well, Pete, what's coming up on the channel this week, right? Okay, so hopefully coming up tomorrow, going to rank the albums of Dio, the band. All right, Ronnie James Dio and Company. Going to do that. We've also got coming up over the next, I should just pull out my list for you, right? If you guys want to know what we're working on here. Also tomorrow, we're going to kind of ask everybody what they are listening to today. That's happening tomorrow. So what's coming up, you might be asking. All right, so things that I'm working on over the next kind of week or two, right? Going to rank the albums of Vandergraaf Generator. Going to rank the albums of Saga. We're going to do the Rolling Stones. We're going to do Queensryche. Okay. Eventually, I'm going to get back together with my buddy Steve Fleck, and we're going to rank the albums of Dire Straits. Okay. We've got other things on the list. Spock's Beard, Procol Harum, Wishbone Ash, Nectar, Henry Cow, James Gang, Jeff Beck, Mahavishnu Orchestra, Return to Forever, Frank Marino, Mahogany Rush, Soft Machine, Halloween. All right, we're going to do some top 10 songs. We've got Halloween coming up this weekend. We've got Iced Earth coming up this weekend. We've got Symphony X coming up this weekend. I'm going to do also, Steve Fleck is going to join me for Marillion, top 10 songs. All right, Nick Franco is joining us and Steve Keeler joining us on the Halloween show. Jack Toledano joining me for the Symphony X and the Iced Earth show. I'm going to try and get to a top 10 songs over the next couple weeks for Night Ranger. Okay, so all sorts of stuff coming up, guys. All sorts of stuff. I'm hoping to do some kind of a ranking the albums, probably like my top 10 favorite albums from Hawkwind, because the discography is just too enormous. So that's coming up as well. So a lot of stuff in the works. Be patient. I'm not going to deliver it all at one time, right? So this is kind of the stuff that I'll be working on and producing over the next few weeks, right? So a lot of cool things happening. So you don't want to miss any of it, right? So stay tuned, and we'll see you then. Take care. Bye-bye.